News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KVNU.
KVNU News Time is 4:05. I'm Bill Walter with this news update brought to you by the Duck Hunter. A 25-year-old man is being bound over for trial on more charges of allegedly raping a woman in June. Brian Alberto Cruz Carrillo has been in the Cache County Jail since being arrested in July. Cruz Carrillo was in First District Court Tuesday afternoon for a preliminary hearing. He was charged previously with rape and forcible sodomy, both first-degree felonies. Prosecutors later added a charge of forcible sodomy with serious bodily injury, also a first-degree felony, and forcible sexual abuse, a second-degree felony. Prosecutors explained how the alleged victim claimed that Cruz Carrillo raped her at her home in June. The woman told police she had met the suspect on Snapchat and later agreed to meet him in person. The woman said Cruz Carrillo allegedly raped her in her bedroom after he came over to her home. She had told him no repeatedly and tried to fight him off. The case was originally scheduled for a 2-day trial for December 16th and 17th. It was postponed after prosecutors filed the additional charges based on what they claimed were severe injuries from the assault. KVNU News Time is 4:06. KVNU weather for tonight, mostly cloudy this evening, then partly cloudy skies, colder, overnight low in the lower 20s. Sunny, mid-40s on Thursday, mostly cloudy Friday morning, then partly cloudy skies, and upper 40s for the high. It's been 48 today. It's 45 right now at KVNU. KVNU weather brought to you by Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology. Bring back the sounds you've been missing. Schedule a free hearing evaluation with Dr. Paul Daines at Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology.
John at the Duck Hunter asks, have you ever checked the dryer vent cover on the outside of your home? It could be broken, full of lint, or worse yet, you could have an unwanted guest living in it. John suggests you check your dryer vent today. And if you can't, call John at the Duck Hunter. He'll do a visual inspection, and if needed, run a camera through the dryer vent line to see what's going on in there. For a free consultation, call the Duck Hunter, 770-4813.
We are the Duck Hunter. Breathe better, save money, protect your home. We are the Duck Hunter.
KVNU News Time is 4:07. The mother and father of a 5-month-old girl were arrested after police say the man fled from Utah Highway Patrol troopers driving extremely dangerously. Monday morning on I-15 just south of St. George, a UHP trooper attempted to pull over a vehicle that had expired registration. The driver did not stop and took off at over 100 miles per hour. Court documents state that the trooper had begun to pursue the vehicle but ended the chase when the driver took a freeway exit and ran a red light. Another trooper later spotted the same vehicle about 45 miles north of the initial traffic stop attempt, approaching Cedar City. Troopers attempted to spike the vehicle's tires, but they say the driver swerved onto the freeway shoulder and again sped up to over 100 miles per hour. They were ultimately able to spike the tires successfully, and the vehicle came to a stop. The driver, identified as 21-year-old Hector Ruiz Godoy, later attempted fleeing from the UHP troopers as well as fleeing from police, admitted to that at least 2 other times since 2020. A 20-year-old passenger was in the vehicle, and police say Godoy's and the passenger's 5-month-old daughter was also inside. And a critical Colorado River reservoir has fallen to a record low level, raising new concerns about a power source for millions of people in the U.S. West. Federal water officials say that Lake Powell on the Utah-Arizona border fell below 3,520 feet on Tuesday. Western states had set that mark as a buffer to keep the lake from reaching a level that would prevent the turbines at Glen Canyon Dam from generating power. Federal officials are confident Lake Powell will rise quickly with springtime snowmelt, and Glen Canyon Dam will stay productive. But the new low does mark another sobering realization of the impacts of climate change and a mega drought on the country's second largest human-made lake. KVNU News Time is 4:09. For more details on these and other stories, visit CacheValleyDaily.com.
Get your news from KVNU 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
Discount Tire. So tire store.
I just can't wait for spring.
Well, honey, wait no longer. Spring is here.
Oh boy, did a little bird tell you?
Oh, heavens no. Discount Tire and Automotive told me.
Be in the know with the Spring Spectacular sale at Discount Tire and Automotive, where you'll save up to $70 when you buy a select set of 4 Cooper tires. No one beats the spring tire sale prices at Discount Tire and Automotive. Go anywhere on a set of Discoverer Trek or the Discoverer AT3 LT. Hurry, don't miss these savings that end April 4th. Make your tire and service reservations online 24/7 at webtires.net. Cure your budget pains today with the Spring Spectacular sale at Discount Tire and Automotive in Logan, Providence, and Smithfield.
Discount Tire. So much more than a tire store.
Hi, this is Drew Allen with Allen Mortuaries. Over the years, thousands of families have planned ahead with Allen Mortuaries. Planning ahead helps you make informed and thoughtful decisions. It also spares your family the stress of making these decisions under the pressure of time and strong emotions. Allen Mortuaries' secure pre-need trust plan can save you nearly 40% versus other plans. Keep it simple, safe, and secure. Go with the proven choice, Allen Mortuaries. Voted best funeral home in Cache Valley in northern Utah. Allen Mortuaries. Then, now, always.
For the people.
We are waiting with bated breath for news from the Cache Republican Party meeting an executive committee tonight.
With Jason Williams.
And I'm really excited about this next segment. We have 2 guests here in studio. We're going to talk about something that we've talked about many times here on the show, but from a bit of a different angle.
Weekday afternoons from 4 till 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM.
Welcome to KVNU's For the People. Hour 1 of today's show, Wednesday, March 16th. I'm Jason Williams, Bill Walter here in the studio as well. And it is time for this month's installment of Speak to the Mayor with Logan City Mayor Holly Daines here in the studio. Joining us for the full first hour. If you have a comment or a question, 753-5868. And Mayor Daines, welcome.
Thank you. I'm always happy to be here.
It's good to have you in the studio and to talk about, I was kind of laughing to myself. I remember when we first started this, you said, hey, as long as there's stuff to talk about, we'll do the full hour once a month. And we have yet to run out. We've never had a show where it was like, wow, we'll cut this short because we're out of topics. But no, I was remarking to you as I came into the studio here today, and Bill and I talked about it a little bit yesterday on the show. Just seeing things start to come together in downtown and south of downtown and a bit north of downtown, you really start to see these bits and pieces of construction and demolition and change. You're really starting to see a full picture of what's envisioned for the southern part of Logan, right?
Exactly. I hope so. And we've been working on this for 4 years, as you well know, and it's exciting to see it physically start to happen. And again, I know there's a lot of demolition right now, but we will soon start to rebuild. And again, you think about our historic downtown and the beautiful pieces that we have, the historic buildings from the Tabernacle to the courthouse to the Eccles Theater. And, our pioneer forefathers invested in those so many years ago. And now it's our turn to, I feel like, do another round of investment to keep us going for another 100 years. And it's interesting. I mean, even the Tabernacle has construction fencing around it because the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is doing seismic upgrades in that building. Again, they want it to last, for many more years and to be in good shape. And again, I feel like we're really doing some things that I hope will just add on to the ambience of our downtown. We will upgrade, not change it beyond recognition by any means, but just add some nice features to really draw people downtown.
That's evident as well because, growing up here, downtown, it still looks like downtown. These changes are being done in a way that I think augment that. But, I've been disappointed as I've seen smaller cities in the valley just completely raze their old downtown and build all new. This is a more than a healthy mix, I think, of keeping the character of downtown, but bringing some new into it. And we've talked about this before. Logan is in a couple of different interesting positions. One being, the central point of the valley, geographically, but also population-wise. And then also not making all the decisions that that you would like to when it comes to the roadways in and out. UDOT gets to call the shots on many of those, but some creative investments there as well. I've enjoyed First East for quite some time now, and First West coming together much more quickly than I expected it to. Even having a chance to talk to you about it, that's going to be a thing soon.
Exactly. They have
roadway.
started on that, and they're building a bridge over the river at basically at 6 South. They'll go around the church. That used to be a T intersection, and then that road will continue all the way out to US 8991, where there's a light, and it will make it easy to get on the highway. So we're pleased about that. And both First East that you mentioned and First West, the city has put up substantial funding, but we've also gotten quite a bit of funding through the CMPO and the Council of Governments, COG. That is a group of all the mayors in the valley, and they use that small percentage of transportation sales tax that was authorized by the county council. And again, they prioritize roads that, again, try and make a difference. And so first on 100 East, the section was done in Logan, and then they moved to North Logan, and then Hyde Park, and eventually that will continue on out to Smithfield. Again, the 100 West project they supported with a grant, and we matched it, substantially. So there are some partnerships, and again, the county is starting on a county transportation master plan. As a city, we actually are just about close to a draft on an update to our transportation master plan, which I think was last done maybe 10 years ago or so. But as we grow and change, it's interesting to look back at the plans, and sometimes I think people think you do a plan and you put it on a shelf, but you also look back and say, oh, we did that intersection, we did get a light there, we fixed that offset. So we have accomplished a lot, and now you need to address all the growth and say, okay, what are our priorities in transportation for the next 10 to 15 years? And because you can't do everything at once, but you strategically choose. And you and I have talked before about trying to improve the east-west corridors. With 10th West, there's a good north-south route.
And that will be completed, right? That's part of the plan to take 10th West as all the way to what we call Airport Road with additional lanes.
And see, when that was redone, UDOT took over that. It used to be a city road, and then so 10th West is UDOT, and we have had discussions with them, and I think, eventually they'll get there. It does need to be expanded, as you mentioned, all the way to Airport Road.
That's it. I think a bit of, I don't know if there was a discussion 10, 20 years ago where someone said set this aside for this purpose, or not set it aside, most of it private property there, but plan for this as a certain point. But the whole area north of 200 North along 10th West, and you start to think of, a Costco going in there, and you see the city has planned for this. There's a lot less running out and building intersections and running sewer pipes than what you see in other scenarios in other cities. This was something that a long time ago was kind of planned for, right? That Logan would expand into that area.
Exactly. And when 10th West, when UDOT took that over, they put a cement road in, and it is really challenging to have to cut into a cement road to try and do sewer connections, whatever. So Logan really invested a big chunk of money then to put in our infrastructure in sort of the right-of-way, so we didn't have to cut into the road or to take care of what did need to go under the road. So again, it was, we had some good public works folks who, had the vision to, all right, what do we do now, even though it's a big investment, so we have that infrastructure in place and don't have to, cut into brand new roads and have that cost and replacement. So
it's a great example of that planning ahead, because now, again, as Logan, as the business district, if you will, for Logan City, sort of expands into that area, less expensive to do so. In fact, for the most part, Logan City can say, go ahead at this point, right?
Well, there are a lot of areas that developers, again, when they come in, that's part of what they have to do. If they have to put in their half of the road, so if they're on, one side of the street or the other, they don't have to put in the whole road, but they have to put in their half, including curb and gutter and sidewalk. And they do have to, if it's an area that doesn't have sewer or water, they do have to put in their own utilities. And sometimes the city will work with them because they may only need a 12-inch sewer line. But we say,
sure.
okay, because the sewer will continue on west, there could be other users. So we will pay to upgrade, and then sometimes we can charge that back to developers in the future. But we'll often pay to upgrade the infrastructure so it can then serve other new users that need to access the system and then get that back.
I think that's a side of all this growth that very few of us, see. Well, none of us see really ever. It's underground usually, but that type of infrastructure investment is key. And I remember way back, a colleague of yours when you were on the city council, Tammy Pfeiffer, hosted a city boot camp. Basically,
that I attended that.
That was interesting.
That was really. I learned a lot. I think that was maybe when I was running for council or something.
Oh, that would be the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
That it was fascinating because you really get to see how there are so many unknowns in the future for a city. You don't know where people are going to want to live for sure, or where businesses are going to want to locate, but you have an idea. And you can see how Logan City has positioned some of these areas, knowing that you didn't know 15, 20 years ago it would be a Costco. I don't think anyone knew what Costco was here in Utah at that time. But you knew that at some point this was going to be an area of interest and likely for residential housing, but also for businesses. And then where it gets really complicated for me, when I think of all this growth that's coming, and you think about the fact, okay, here we are now planning for 20 years down the road and trying to do so. That presents a really unique challenge when you've got also the legislature and Union Pacific and UDOT and all these other people that you have to work with to make these decisions. And UDOT may not be focused on the future of Cache Valley right now. They may be focused on the future of the Wasatch Front. That's where you step in and say, hey, this is our plan, and match everything up, right?
But I have to say that, UDOT has been a really good partner lately. And,
Sure.
There are different regions. So we have a director over our region. And, he has reached up. He comes up quarterly, to meet with us and, wants to know what our concerns and needs are. And we've really appreciated that. And we've been able to partner on some projects that benefit both of us. And, they've been willing to work with us. So I think they do. Again, I think they're trying to take the broad approach, as just given the pure population, the
Sure.
Wasatch Front is going to get the most money because they have the most people there. But I feel like they're taking our concerns into consideration, and we're working with them on Main Street. Again, there's no easy solution there, but that may be the next place that we really have to make a big infrastructure investment. If they're going to come in and make some upgrades
changes
to that road, we need to budget some money to try and take care of. Some of that infrastructure under Main Street is approaching 100 years old. So,
does that present an opportunity sort of for Logan City if UDOT comes in, hypothetically, and says, we're redoing this whole road, we're going to make some changes, and maybe that'll be physical medians or changes to lights or who knows. But at that point, can Logan step in and say, here are some things we need to do at the same time?
Yes, and again, as part of the same project, it can save us money. Typically, if there are things that we're in charge of, then it's our responsibility. It's called a betterment. So we can often say to UDOT, okay, we'd like to make this improvement. We'll pay for the betterment. It's a better deal as part of a bigger project to do that. So we've certainly done that before.
It's a lot of plates to keep spinning, but it's exciting to see all of this coming together again from north to south in Logan City. You see a lot of changes. Some of them changes that have been discussed and debated for 20 years, now finally underway. If you have a comment or a question for the mayor, she's with us this entire hour for Speak to the Mayor, Logan City Mayor Holly Daines here in the studio, and we'll be back right after this.
Hi, it's Congressman Blake Moore here. As you know, the prices of gas, groceries, utilities, and housing are surging. Inflation has been increasing due to President Biden's policies, and it's a painful tax on all Utah families. I'm working hard to reverse these policies that are driving inflation and bring fiscal responsibility back to Washington. With inflation rising faster than paychecks, it's clear we need to balance our nation's checkbook. I've started a debt and deficit task force with stakeholders across Utah's 1st District to address America's most pressing financial problems. Please visit my website, www.blakemore.house.gov, to learn more about our productive solutions that will keep more money in your pockets. Paid for by official funds authorized by the U.S. House of Representatives.
It's true, many of us spend more time thinking about what's for dinner than thinking about retirement. But if you think your retirement needs deserve more attention, we agree, and we'd like to help. We're Edward Jones. Together, we can give your long-term retirement strategy the attention it deserves. Contact your local Edward Jones financial advisor to get started today. Call 1-800-ED-JONES. Visit edwardjones.com or stop by any of the 7 Edward Jones offices in Cache Valley.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Logan City Mayor Holly Daines here in the studio with us for the hour. Speak to the mayor here on For the People, 753-5868 if you have a question. We did get a caller during the break there, and I think we've I know we've touched on this topic, I think just when you were with us last month, Mayor. But a caller again asking about that 18th South and 10th West intersection. It can be a bit dangerous at times of day. As we discussed last time, it's too close to the highway to actually be a 4-way stoplight. People would come off the highway and within 100 yards hit a stoplight. You'd have traffic backed up in a really bad situation there. But that is something the city's aware of, right? And that's it. But that's a UDOT road.
Exactly, and UDOT makes that decision. We've discussed that with them, and there will be a light a little bit further north. But again, it has to meet warrants, and so as the property along 10th West there develops and a developer is then required to put in a road, that road will bring traffic from 1800 to a further north position where then there is a light. And it, again, UDOT strategically places them, so you keep traffic flowing. If you have them too often every block, it kind of defeats the purpose of 10th West because it's a bypass and it's supposed to move traffic. So, eventually there will be one a little bit further north from that 1800 south that I know it is difficult, and I would just encourage people to be safe. Take a right turn and maybe go the long way around rather than risking your safety at really busy rush hour times. So again, that will eventually take care of itself, but we don't have a date as to when that will happen. It kind of depends on development.
And take your cue from UPS. A UPS driver would not drive straight through that intersection or turn left at that intersection. In fact, they're mandated not to as part of the company policy, but they're big on right turns to reduce their costs and accidents.
And that's what we do with all of our garbage trucks, too. I mean, they block the routes out, so they make as many right turns as possible to eliminate that very thing. You say that the conflicts of going through an intersection or across an intersection. So be safe and be careful in the meantime.
Sure.
I know it's an issue.
And I've been harping on this forever. Don't turn left onto Main Street or the highway. Just don't. There are alternate routes. Oh, man. Speaking of roads and all of this, we spoke with County Executive David Zook last week, and we talked to him a bit about this legislative action, a bill sponsored by, I think, Representative Mike Schultz. Doesn't matter. Either way, it passed, and it was a bill to sort of set some ground rules when it comes to Union Pacific about the state's responsibility. And he said this would better position the county and Logan City for two different UDOT-related issues going on. Has there been any, I assume it's too quick, the legislative session just ended, but has there been any movement at all on 14th North and that intersection there on 6th
Not
West?
yet. Again, we're hoping this may force some the railroad to be a little more reasonable. I mean, we actually are in litigation with the railroad over that particular intersection. I had to laugh because one of their senior vice presidents wrote an op-ed piece in the Salt Lake Tribune a couple of days ago, and it just how they were such a great thing for Utah and so good to the community. And I may write a rebuttal. It's like, wow, you are the most difficult entity to deal with in the state. I mean, we have projects that we, get approval on, and then they change the terms partway through. I mean, we have a school crossing that we're trying to get, they have to do all their work in their right-of-way, which is fine. Sure. We have to pay for it. I mean, everything has to go through Omaha. It takes literally 2 to 3 years to get anything approved.
Yeah.
And again, they haven't spent any money at all to improve the intersections that they're talking about. And then they want to start charging us $11,000 a year to maintain every intersection in the city. And it's like, wait a minute. But, we're happy to pay some reasonable maintenance costs, but it had an escalate. They could raise it any time they wanted without any
risky, right?
It was not a contract we were willing to sign. So we would much rather deal with UDOT. Again, they're local. We can talk to them. We can deal with them. So that's what this new legislation does, is basically allows UDOT to be involved in the process. So
that's nice.
I sincerely hope it allows us to move forward with some intersections where the railroad is just being a roadblock.
Sure. Were there any other items during legislative session that caught your eye as mayor, or that you heard from the city council on now that all is said and done?
Right. There was one on retail incentives that basically will not allow any city statewide to provide an incentive for a big box retailer. And, that I think was actually appropriate. We've probably all gotten to the point of growth that, they're coming. We don't need to offer incentives, and this kind of levels the playing field. However, Logan in particular has used our RDA, our redevelopment agency, and those tax increment financing tools to help get some good developments going. South Main being an example. We've had RDAs there that have helped. We've had a downtown RDA that's just about to expire and has allowed us to do some things downtown. And again, the legislature continues to talk about how they want local control, but sometimes they also want to provide a statewide solution when it's not a one-size-fits-all. Cities are different in their needs and their sizes, and so we need to look carefully at that bill. And I know the League of Cities and Towns was lobbying hard for cities just to give us a little more flexibility. It's like you have elected officials that are responsible to the voters, and if they're unhappy, they get to make that change. So we need to kind of understand those, that new law. And again, I think they've added a housing component. So if you are offering a retail incentive, but you also have some housing, and a portion of it's affordable housing. And again, I think they're trying to address the housing issue, which is an issue we're facing, all of us, throughout the whole state. So there will be some things we need to adjust.
I know it was great for me to see anytime Cache Valley comes up as a positive example in the legislative session. It's fun, but Lincoln Schertz, the spokesperson, the lead lobbyist for the League of Cities and Towns, actually used Logan South Main in one of his arguments that he made during a committee meeting, and he explained what that would have cost otherwise. And he basically said it wouldn't have happened without that option. And yet it was something that was started and done within. He quoted a time frame. You probably know the exact time frame. It was like 14 months or something. It was a short period of time. And then you look at South Main, and that's pretty amazing. And it opens up a lot of future opportunities as well. And so that was an argument that was actually used during a committee meeting. I heard Schertz say, Logan City got creative with RDAs, and it worked really well.
Right, and in the long run, everyone benefits because, again, you take short term, you take the increase in the blighted property, or what the base was in the blighted property, versus then the increase after you have the new development, and that money you can use to do some other projects and help benefit the project. But then in the long run, the school district gets more tax revenue. The
Sure.
city and the county both get more tax revenue. And you've also cleaned up a blighted area of town. So to me, it's a win-win.
That South Main definitely a win-win for Logan residents, in my opinion. That's going to be, well, it is a nice area, and as businesses continue to expand into the area, that's, yeah. It's Speak to the Mayor here on KVN News for the People. If you have a question or a comment for Logan City Mayor Holly Daines, 753-5868 is the number, and we'll be back with more right after this look at the news with KVN News' Bill Walter.
Thank you, Jason. KVNU News Time is 4:35, and the news is brought to you by Whole Tree Care. Police have announced that they have a person of interest in the alleged kidnapping attempt near Logan High School. The incident was reported Tuesday morning near 300 South, 150 West. Logan City Police Captain Curtis Hooley said officers detained a suspect this morning for questioning. They have served a search warrant, found evidence linking the man to the crime scene, and are working through the investigative process to firm up evidence and information. Police are not releasing the suspect's identity while they determine whether or not the individual was involved in the incident. On Tuesday, 911 dispatch operators received a call around 7:50 a.m. reporting a male had just tried to kidnap a woman. The suspect was unsuccessful and drove off westbound from the scene. Hooley said the alleged victim told officers that the suspect was wearing black clothing and a face mask. She had been walking along 300 South on her way to work, as she normally does each day. She was unable to provide any clues about the suspect's age, height, weight, or ethnicity. There were reportedly several witnesses to the assault, and footage of the suspect's car was located from nearby cameras, and police have been asking for assistance identifying the possible suspect. A Bear River Middle School student was arrested Monday afternoon for allegedly having a gun and knife at school. The juvenile was later transported to the Cache Valley Detention Center and booked on multiple charges. According to a press release from the Tremont and Garland Police Department, multiple students at the middle school contacted school administrators and reported that another student was in possession of a handgun. The administrator immediately contacted school resource officers with the police department, who responded along with school administration. They contacted the student and located a 9mm handgun concealed on their person. The student was taken into custody without incident. In addition to the handgun, law enforcement also allegedly recovered a large knife that the student had on them. Police report that the parents of the juvenile were notified by administrators and responded to the school. Officers asked to interview the suspect to determine the intentions and how the firearm was obtained, but the juvenile's parents refused. The suspect's identity is not being released due to their age. The case is being referred to 1st District Juvenile Court. And top leaders of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints say temples are going to gradually return to normal operations as temporary restrictions due to the COVID-19 pandemic end. In a letter to church leaders around the world, the faith's first presidency thanked members for their patience. The change is due to more people being immunized. The return to normal will include eliminating the face mask requirement and capacity restrictions based on local circumstances. KVNU News Time is 4:39.
Is it too early to bring up yard work? What? Okay, but this is different. I'm talking about tree pruning. I know we haven't escaped winter yet, but right now is the best time to prune your trees. And the only thing you have to do is call Whole Tree Care, 760-6587. Right now they're offering an exclusive radio discount, so be sure to ask for it when you call, 760-6587. Get ahead of the spring rush. Get your trees and shrubs trimmed by Whole Tree Care, 760-6587.
KVNU weather, mostly cloudy this evening, then partly cloudy, colder, overnight low in the lower 20s, and then sunny, mid-40s tomorrow. Mostly cloudy Friday morning, then becoming partly cloudy, high in the upper 40s. It's been to 48 today. It's 44 right now at KVNU. KVNU weather brought to you by U&I Furniture. They're stocked up with a wide inventory, lots of chairs, lots of variety. There's a good chance they have what you're looking for. Always a better buy at U&I, downtown Logan, 28 West, 100 North. For more details on these and other stories, visit CashValleyDaily.com. Let's check Wall Street now with Edward Jones.
Good afternoon. This is Raydale Gibbons bringing you the Daily Financial Markets Report on behalf of financial advisor Mike Arnold and Edward Jones for Wednesday, March 16th. Stocks rose for the second day in a row, boosted by news that China would take measures to support its economy and financial markets and hopes for a diplomatic solution in Ukraine. Major indexes dipped briefly after the Fed's announced a 0.25% interest rate hike. Also helping sentiment today was hope that Russia and the Ukraine can make progress toward a ceasefire agreement drove European equity indexes sharply higher. Today, the Dow Jones closed at 519 points at 34,064. The Nasdaq closed at 488 points at 13,437. And the S&P 500 closed at 96 points at 4,358. In the bond market today, the 10-year Treasury yields are trading at 2.16% higher. The price of crude oil was down $1.89 at $94.55. The price of gold was down $2 at $1,927.30. For stocks of local interest, Autoliv closed up $4.40 at 80.10. Chevron's down 57 cents at 157.71. Dominion Energy is down 26 cents at 80.76. Home Depot is up $2.37 at 330.91. Kroger's down $1.20 at 54.99. Lowe's is up 26 cents at 231.33. McDonald's is up $5.57 at 238.14. Microsoft's up $7.24 at 294.39. Nucor's down 41 cents at 135.11. Philip Morris is up $1.11 at $93.77. And Walmart stores closed down 43 cents at $145.35. This has been today's financial market report brought to you on behalf of Edward Jones, a member of the SIPC, and financial advisor Mike Arnold, serving individual investors with personalized attention and financial advice, located at 135 North Main, Suite 102 in downtown Logan. If you'd like additional information, please contact our branch office at 753-2915. Daily commentary is also located on our website at edwardjones.com.
Ah, that's better. Trade in the stresses of building a new home for relaxation. Visionary Homes Priority is giving you a stress-free building experience. Named the best home builder in northern Utah, Visionary Homes team will guide you seamlessly through the home building process. Call today, 435-228-4702, or visit visionaryhomes.com to learn more about upcoming communities in Nibley, Logan, and Smithfield. Visionary Homes, built for living, built for you.
You already know H&R Block does taxes, but you may not know you can get expert help in person or virtually, or that our tax pros average 10 years of experience. You can even request the same tax pro every year, and your biggest possible refund is always guaranteed. At H&R Block, help is here. All tax situations are different. Not everyone gets a refund. Limitations apply. See hrblock.com/guarantee.
Make your appointment with H&R Block in Logan by calling 752-1651. That's 752-1651, or download the H&R Block app. Proud to be locally owned and operated. H&R Block in Logan.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. It's Speak to the Mayor here in the studio this hour. Logan City Mayor Holly Daines, 753-5868. If you have a comment or a question, a quick note on this. We will be doing something similar next week with Governor Cox. The Governor's Direct Link event will take place right here in our studios next Tuesday evening. Just throwing that out for listeners to mark their calendars. But it is exciting to have Mayor Daines here in the studio because there is a lot happening in Logan City. And we've been getting some great calls and questions this hour. Timing-wise, no one's been able to stick around to go on air, but we did have two questions during the news break there, Mayor. The first is a really simple question that I know the city's limited in this, but a listener wanted to know. He said, basically, this is a person like me, fan of green turn arrows, and they do help traffic flow, and those new additions on Main Street are great. Wants to know if the city plans to put them in other areas of the city. Are there any other places where you've looked and realized traffic flow might benefit from a green turn arrow?
Again, I think the ones in the city currently are all UDOT. I'm trying to think if there are any others. Again, I mentioned we were just completing our transportation master plan, so that might be something that the traffic engineers look at. Again, are there intersections where we control the roads that might make sense? So I'm not aware of any that are under consideration right at the moment, but again, it does sometimes make traffic safer. And
sure.
Yeah.
Also kind of expensive, though, right, to put those lights in?
Yeah, and it actually does slow down the overall intersection because, again, you have one more kind of, cycle each way that you have to wait through. But I agree they do add some safety. People aren't trying to shoot the gap because they know they have an arrow coming that they can safely make a turn. So I'm sure they'll get used more as we continue to have more traffic.
And that's a guaranteed that will happen, unfortunately. But another question from a listener is, and listener admits this is likely a rumor, and it is, I found out, just asking the mayor during the break there. But we'll throw it out here on air. Listener said that they had heard a rumor that Logan City on the west side of First South, where there's a lot of parking during an Eccles Theater event or people going to the Cash Bar or the Factory Pizza, anything like that, a lot of times cars will just line that road bumper to bumper. And they'd heard a rumor that the city was going to actually put up signs, make that illegal to park there.
That is not the case, and I bet I know the origin of that rumor, because for those of you that use that street, you'll know that we have the lovely new Mill Creek housing development right on the corner of First West and First South. It looks like they may go ahead and do a phase 2, which again would put in sidewalk along that next section. And then for those of you that walk that street, there is no sidewalk in front of Logan's Heroes. That's one of those old existing buildings that was built literally right up to, curbside. So if pedestrians are on that side of the street, they have no choice but to go out in the street.
Yeah.
So we've been looking at plans, and we've come up with a plan that would work. We would have to remove 2 parking spaces just on the corner of Main Street and First South, right there by the framing shop. So if we did that, we would remove 2 on-street parking spaces, but then we would get a sidewalk on the south side of the street there for pedestrian safety. So that is and we've had some conversations with the property owner there, but I think safety-wise, that would be a great improvement. So sure. If that does move forward, there would be 2 parking spaces eliminated, but we have no intention of eliminating all the parking on that street, and we would like to make it safe and add a new section of sidewalk there.
Very nice. This is a great question. I take this for granted because I get a chance to talk with a lot of people in Logan City about this, and Gary at the Downtown Alliance as well. But a listener asks, what are you hearing from downtown businesses about the recent upgrades to Center Street? They are a year old now. Listener says it's a little more than that, isn't it?
2 years.
2 years now. So what are you hearing from downtown businesses? That's a pretty popular stretch of road right now.
It is. And I'm actually thrilled with the way that's turned out because, our goal was the city kind of set up front. We'll pay for the flowers for the first couple of years and maintain those. And then our hope is that we have the businesses take over that because, it does benefit their street, their business.
Sure.
And Mark Anderson, who is on the city council, bless his, and is a business owner there, he kind of spearheaded it. He just took the initiative and contacted all the businesses and said, look.
He knows what to plant, right?
He does. And the city did pay him last year to fertilize and plant. And again, we got a great deal. I mean, and that number is out for anybody to see. There's, no
sure.
conflict
Public
there.
Record,
but
yeah.
He got every single business owner on that street to agree to pay into the kitty, so to speak, to cover the cost of those flowers going forward. And they even banded together and agreed to pay for some snow removal as a group,
Oh, really?
to have a professional service come in and do all their sidewalks. So, they all got done at the same time early in the morning and on weekends when people weren't there. And so they've really kind of, like I say, banded together and agreed to pay for those flowers. And I'm thrilled with the way that's going. And
that's kind of a statement on Center Street itself in a way, too, because a business spending that kind of money for snow removal, for beautification of the street means they plan to stay there. They're not going anywhere anytime soon.
And, the flowers and the plantings and the fertilizer. And, again, you saw how gorgeous the flowers were. I mean, Mark is very good at knowing what fertilizer mix to make it work. So it was a little over, it was pretty close to about $6,000 for a year for all the actual physical plants that we planted, for all the maintenance, the service to, water them. I mean, the big beds have a drip system, but the smaller ones do have to be watered by hand. Again, they did all that. They itemized the hours. And again, it's an investment in our city, and the owners are now taking over that. So I thank them for doing that and for seeing, catching the vision and being willing to step up and say, we like this, we care about it, we'll help continue to make it happen.
And it has to be making Center Street more of a destination in downtown. I mean, make it look more like a destination in downtown.
Exactly.
That has to have helped with business activity. I know it appears crowded to me, but I'm usually there when something's going on. Mm-hmm. But it appears there are more people in downtown in general.
There are. And again, you have, there's some fun tables so you can sit down and enjoy yourself. And it's not like, well, I'm here, but what do I do now? It's like you can sit down, get a drink, get some food in one of the little cafes and people watch and just enjoy the flowers, enjoy what's happening. So, again, with our plaza, as you know, we've been working to just kind of connect that with Center Street and a mid-block walkway, kind of make it just more pedestrian friendly and more reason to come down and downtown, enjoy and walk around.
Very nice. This is a funny question. I'm going to disclose a bit about who this is, even though he's asked I don't use his name. But this is a member of a local amateur hockey club. Asks if it's too early to ask the mayor when the official date certain will be that he can put his ice skates on in downtown. That's a ways off still, right? I mean, we have to wait until next winter at least.
Well, we are hoping maybe by this Christmas. Again,
really?
It kind of depends on, how the schedule goes with the construction. You know how construction projects go. Our goal is to have the rink open this winter, but I am adding a caveat that, we'll just have to see how the construction process goes. And again, it's not a rink that's big enough to play hockey. It's going to be a little recreational rink. He can certainly come skate on it. And I've had people ask, well, can we play hockey on it? It's like, no, unfortunately, it's not big enough for that. You'll have to go to the Eccles Ice Arena for that. This is going to be a really fun wintertime reason to come downtown. And again, I think one thing we realized from knocking the buildings down, the views from that plaza are going to be gorgeous. Can't you?
I've noticed that from Main Street, actually, just sitting there in traffic. I did not expect that.
So, again, we're going to have lights strung over the plaza. I mean, can you see skating with some music and lights and looking at the tabernacle? And I think it'll be fun.
Has the city already seen an uptick in requests for downtown events? Or because it seems to me that's going to be more inviting for people to locate, their event, their festival, or whatever it is in the downtown.
We haven't gotten that far yet. Like I say, I think we need to, hopefully by a year from this summer, we will have, some events there on the stage. But we have to get it built first.
That's right.
But we need to start thinking about that. Point well taken.
I'm sure people won't wait to get in line as soon as that queue is open. It's exciting to see all this. And again, I've said it many times on the show, speaking not as a Logan resident, I shouldn't have a say or opinion in this, I guess, but I'm excited for Logan City, and I'm excited for Logan's downtown. And I feel like, our discussions here in the studio each month, this is not something that's going to just come to it. There won't be a time when you say, okay, the library's done, Third North Block is done, South Main's done, downtown's done, and then we just stop, right? That doesn't happen.
No, it never does. But I will, like I say, but we'll work hard for the next 3+ years and see what happens.
Very nice. 753-5868 if you have a question or comment for Logan City Mayor Holly Daines here in the studio. We'll be back right after this.
Adams Wealth Advisors' entire team says, thank you, Cache Valley, for voting them the best financial planner in the Best of Northern Utah competition. Honesty and integrity is the hallmark of Adams Wealth Advisors. Let them earn your trust today.
This is Craig Adams. At Adams Wealth Advisors, we are here to help you receive peace of mind, whether you've done a lot of planning or a little planning. Count on our team at Adams Wealth Advisors for honesty, professionalism, and integrity.
Visit adamswealthadvisors.com or call 752-1702 to schedule a time with an advisor today. Please see adamswealthadvisors.com for more information on these recent awards.
Do you want to learn to ski or snowboard or know someone who does? Come join the Learn to Turn First Time Beginner class at Beaver Mountain. $80 gets you a 2-hour group lesson, your ski and snowboard rental, and a Little Beaver lift ticket for the day. Learn to Turn is for ages 6 and up for skiing or snowboarding and is offered daily at 10 a.m. Or you can try Learn to Turn 1, 2, 3, commit and complete 3 Learn to Turn packages in one season for $220 and get a Little Beaver season pass for the rest of the season. Come on up and ski the Beav.
DD Auto and Salvage is going to pay you $400 for every junk vehicle. Junk cars haven't been worth a guaranteed $400 in over 15 years. DD Auto and Salvage will pick up your junk vehicle for free and pay you $400. If you have scrap metal, appliances, lawnmowers, copper, brass, aluminum cans, stainless steel, you could be sitting on a gold mine. Call DD Auto and Salvage at 787-1204.
That's 787-1204.
See store for details.
Hi, Cache Valley. Mark Anderson with Anderson Seed and Garden. I enjoy giving advice about yard and garden care. In fact, some people even consider me their personal gardening Google. But now's the time for bare root plants. Great time for any kind of fruit tree like apples, pears, nectarines, or things like raspberry bushes, strawberries, grapes, onions, even blueberries. Anderson's is having their bare root sale right now. The bare root tree sale doesn't last long. Get the best selection before they're gone at Anderson Seed and Garden, 69 West Center in Logan.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. Coming in late here with the mayor in the studio for Speak to the Mayor, Logan City Mayor Holly Daines with us. Just a few minutes left and a couple of questions from the same caller here. I'll do my best to express them well. But one question about downtown parking. I know there was, at first in this master plan for the center block, there was parking included, but there was some objection from certain business owners, so that's not a part of the downtown block plan. But are there other things that the city's looking at as far as downtown parking? If this is successful, draws more people in?
You're correct. Originally, the first plan was to have some housing and to build a parking terrace, which would serve the housing, and then would also have had about 80 extra parking spaces with an extra level. But again, as you mentioned, that plan was met with resistance, so we, took a different tact. So there will be no more parking added in the actual block there. But again, we've done parking surveys around, and if you look at available parking spaces within, a block and a half, there is really a fair amount of parking. And again, one thing we're trying to make happen is make it a friendlier place for pedestrians to walk. That will help the businesses as people walk. Get out of your car and come down. You go to many other cities where you either have to pay for parking or you have to walk quite a ways. You will not be able to park most of the time right by the front entrance. It just, but there will be some longer term parking. There will be shorter term parking, so we hope to mix it up. So again, you may have to walk a little further, but it will be worth it.
Sure. Is it so now? With UDOT calling the shots on Main Street, the orange flags, they would do that, right? If it comes to that, for pedestrians to carry across the street.
Oh yeah, I've never seen UDOT do orange flags, but
I'm not sure. We'll see.
There are stoplights every couple of blocks, and that allows people to safely cross. So
And Logan, I can say this, having just spent some time in Salt Lake during the legislative session, Logan still has lengthy crossing times, so enjoy those. Not the case on some of those intersections down there in Salt Lake downtown. Thank you again, Logan City Mayor Holly Daines, our guest. And Mayor Daines, appreciate taking an hour out of your day once a month to give us basically a state of the city.